have so many brothers, fathers that are watching us also and supporting us. So we want to welcome you once again to our webinar today, the Leadership Excellence for Women by Women. And today I have a great pleasure to have a special guest with us. She is a very busy lady, but despite her very busy schedule, she made time to be with us today. And we are having her also because of another woman. This is what this is all about, my beautiful ladies and my beautiful great men of valor. Connecting each other's. When we have information, when we have resources, be willing to share, be willing to open so that other people can benefit from it. And that other lady that made this connection today and made it possible for all of you to benefit from our special guest insights and her time is Fatmata Pessima. I really want to thank her because a couple of months ago, she just called me and she said, I met this great lady from my country. I've never met her physically, but she's awesome and I definitely want you to meet her. And she made the connection. I connected with her, with our guests. We spoke a couple of times. And when I spoke to her about coming and joining us at this webinar, she was willing to do it. Not only willing to do it, she also wanted to offer some of her time after this session to the 15 people that will share live, that will invite guests. So please, we're gonna give you 1 more minute to share, to invite your friends. Please don't keep the information for yourself, because if Fatmata Pessima has kept this information, I wouldn't be able to bring our guests to the platform today. So once again, welcome again, and we want to thank you for your time. Today we have a special guest, like I said earlier on, Miss RANYA KARGHO. I hope I said the name properly. RANYA KARGHO, and I will let her introduce herself, tell us who she is, the type of wonderful women leader that she is, and then we're gonna get to the theme of today. And today she's gonna present to us how can we get into an international career. Many of us dream of that, but sometimes we don't know how to go about it, where to get started. And today we have a special guest that will just enlighten us. So Miss RANYA, please introduce yourself.
Oh my God, my sister. Thank you so much. First of all, it's been quite a pleasure knowing you all these months, talking to you and about your dream to do something for women, especially inspiring and leadership, because I believe we all need to support each other. It is tough, but it is rewarding to be a woman in the work environment. So I felt that as a human resources professional, any tips I can give, answer any questions, make myself available would just be nice, because many people don't get a chance to talk to HR in a very safe space. So please feel free to ask any questions. And I would also make time after for a few people if they want to talk about more CV writing, and if they're doing applications to the UN, just need guidance. I am not the ultimate expert, but I have been in this role for 14 years in a leadership role. So my name is RANYA KARGHO. I am Sierra Leonean American. Yeah, so I'm born in Sierra Leone, raised. I go there every year. That's home for me. And I have 2 kids who are my pride and joy. One is 4 and one is 18. He's going to be 18 this August. And I have worked in human resources for 20 years, but I have worked in a leadership role in the United Nations for 14 years. So I started my career in the UN very young. I was 33 and I was the HR specialist at the peacekeeping mission, and then was able to lead that HR function before they hired the new, and I left for UNICEF Nigeria. UNICEF Nigeria was 34 years old. I remember when I was Chief of Human Resources. I was very young. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. I led the whole HR through bomb blast, everything. And after Nigeria, I moved as head of HR for UNICEF to Bangladesh. And I worked also on the Rohingya emergency from start to scale up. Then I was there for years, and then I left now, and I'm now in Jordan. I'm the regional human resources manager, and I concentrate on all the emergencies in the Middle East and North Africa. So UNICEF has been an excellent organization to work for, empowering their commitment to young talent, women, diversity, has enabled me to be where I am, and many women to actually fly past and succeed. So I am very happy to just share my experience if it will help anyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, RANYA. And I'm sure many, just like me, listening to you, were just traveling with you. We felt like we were just going in your suitcase with you to all those countries. That is the beauty also about international career. We're gonna get to that in some moments, but I am sure many of our viewers are wondering, well, how can I be like RANYA? What does it take? Where do I get started? Let's say we have a sister or a brother that is connected, wanted to join the United Nations. Where does this person need to start with?
Thank you so much. That's an interesting question, because for me, I always wanted a career in the United Nations. My father was a diplomat, and I always wanted to work for the United Nations. I believed in their values. I believed in the work they do. And UNICEF is very close to my heart. My dad actually helped set up the office in Sierra Leone many years ago when he was chief medical officer. So I always wanted to be part of this journey of the UN and to make an impact. So even my academic qualifications, I was all in preparation for a role. So if you want to work with the UN, first you have to have a passion for what the UN does, because it's not for everyone. You're going to be working in complex environment. You're going to be working in very high volatile, diplomatically sensitive environments. You're going to be uprooting your whole life, leaving all your family behind, and be stationed in a place where you don't know anyone, and you have to survive and support and be and just deliver. So it is not for everyone. So if you're someone who likes certainty, who likes to be secure and stabilized, then you may need to consider, because for me, I think I've moved 6 times, and my entire career I'll move, and I move my kids too. So your kids are going to go to so many schools. It comes with the complexities of adjusting. You're going to have issues, maybe the schools are not good, maybe something happens, and it is tough, but it is so rewarding. So if you want to join the career, and this is something you want to do, there are many ways to approach it. One, you have to really understand what you want to do. So we have peacekeeping, we have the funds and programs, which is UNICEF, UNDP. Then we have WHO, UNHCR, UN Women. So there are many, many, many UN organizations with different visions and missions. So you have to know what you want to do. So let's say, for example, you're a lawyer. You may want to go into HR, into legal. You may want to go into child protection. You may want to go into different avenues, especially if it's in peacekeeping. They have many avenues for lawyers. So it's not a really easy question to ask, If you're an HR professional, you can work in many areas. So let me speak to a young professional graduating and wanting to come into the UN. First of all, before you graduate, try to get internships, try to volunteer, try to get you know, something that puts you right in the development work and the humanitarian work of the United Nations. We have lots of internships, so Google it, go on the different websites of the UN. If you're not sure, go into the, there's a website, I'll think of it and show you, because it will have all the listings of the job at the UN, and you can look there. We advertise also on LinkedIn, so look at those avenues. Google UN jobs, it will pull a lot of information. So if you're graduating, look at those avenues. Normally we have different cadre. We have national cadre, so you have to be the national person there, and it will have the different requirements. Then you have the international cadre, which means you're a national of any country, but you're working in another country, so you're an international staff. We also have consultants, we have interns, we have United Nations volunteers. So many, many avenues to join this amazing, rewarding work that we do. So I encourage young professionals to do that. Let's say you're mid-career individuals and you want to make a transition. It's normally easier if you're already in the NGO space and you're doing like work, right? So you're with Save the Children, you're with the Red Cross, you're with different other NGOs, then it can be easy to transition. But I also have good news, because I transitioned from the private sector. I had no NGO experience. I was totally from City Financial, and I was totally new to the UN. So if you think that you have to work in that space alone to get in the UN, it's not always true. So I applied, I competed, I did a test, I did an interview, and then I did a face-to-face interview, and then I was selected. So it can happen that you can move from the private sector to the United Nations, you can move from the government sector to the United Nations. But I was moving in the same field. So I was not transitioning from one field to another. So I was moving from HR to HR. So I would say the first step is look at the job description and see if it fits you, and then apply. Many people think that the UN is so difficult to get into, and it's true, because it's very competitive. A lot of people want to work for the UN. So you're going to be competing with the best of the best, even internally and externally. So you need to make sure you prepare yourself, your CV, your interviewing skills to succeed, because it is going to be an extremely competitive process. You see the applicant pool very wide, and by the time it gets to the top, it's one person. So you really need to be, as we say, have your A game on. But it is possible, and I am happy to share always that I came from the private sector. I was very young, and I was sometimes lost, and then I had good mentors. Oh my gosh, I have been lost so many times. But luckily for me, the agency I work with, they have mentorship, and they put you through these training programs. They really coach, they really invest in their staff. So I've been privileged to have a lot of people who have invested in me as a person and also in my career. And for that, I'm truly grateful. So to summarize, apply. And then, yeah, that's the first step. Over.
Thank you so much, RANYA. I believe our viewers are getting a lot of great information. And I'm glad that earlier on you touched about young graduates. I believe my first actually session that I did for this Leadership Excellence for Women by Women was actually about networking. And I share even my own experience on how I was able to get into international development job through networking And I spoke to young graduate and even student, current student, to be very mindful to not just be going to school, but be open to your surrounding. Make connection with your student advisor, because guess what? My first international job, I got it through connection to my student advisor. At that time, I told her, well, I want to work for the World Bank before graduating. And she started connecting me with people. It didn't work out the way that I was planning to. But then again, I went back to her, again, just like be persistent, just, you know, keep on pushing. Even if the first time didn't work, keep on trying. God may work in a different way and expecting, and then you can see the result. Like I said, with me, it didn't work for the World Bank, but a few months later, after doing networking, I got an email from my future boss, if I should say that at that time, asking me if I'm still looking for a job. And you're talking about a graduate student who was broke, and she's getting an email asking her if she's looking for a job. But again, it took me almost like 9 to 10 months for me to land that first international job. And just like you said, you may not be in that particular field, but go ahead and apply and see what's going to happen. Now, you spoke about testing. I had a friend actually who's connected, Debbie. She was wondering that she heard about the requirement to pass some tests in order to, this is actually passing some tests is the hiring process or the application process. Could you please give us more details about that?
So now I'm going to go into HR, like when you're, we talk about full life cycle recruitment. So of course we're going to advertise the position. Then afterwards we're going to screen, and then we're going to test your competence. So we want to make sure you have the best, you're the most competent person for the role. And it's a matter of screening down to get to the best of the best. And normally we'll do it a couple of ways. We'll do it through technical tests. We'll do it through case studies. It depends. So there's no one size fit all. It depends on what the agency or the organization wants to do. Sometimes the tests are more structured, you know, like we used to have, but no longer have, you know, mobility tests. But now it's subject to the hiring manager and HR to determine what skills they want to test and stuff. And then we go to an interview, and the interview could be technical, behavioral, or a combination. And then we go into reference checks. Now, this is where your comment on, you know, networking and how important it is, because UNICEF, United Nations, will do detailed reference checks. In fact, for UNICEF, we hire an agency to help us do that. And we reference check everything. We'll look at your academic degree. We will ask for proof of that. Every single thing you put on your CV, we will reference check. And even if you're hired and they go back to your CV and find something wrong, they can reference check you again. So be mindful of that when you write your CV, to make sure everything you write is there. But yes, we will test you, and we will do it in various ways. I've seen some tests be technical tests, 3 hours, then they give you a case study, then they ask you to do a presentation. So, and it also depends on the level of the positions. Sometimes we even outsource help to get senior leaders, and they go through behavioral tests and stuff like that to make sure so it's not only technical, but it could be a combination to make sure that there's just the best fit, because there's so much risk in working for the UN, so much visibility, that we want to make sure that we have the right caliber of individual to represent the agencies we work for over.
It makes sense. Thank you so much, Raya. And now going actually back to the CV, I've had a couple of people reaching out to me and telling me, well, I've been applying, and it seems like I'm never able to pass through the first stage. You talked about screening earlier on. The beauty of today's session is we both work in HR, and I can relate to what you say. We all know that when we post those positions, because of the volume of candidates that apply, physically we are not able to go in and then screen everybody. So of course, we will put keyword into the search engine. Could you please give some tips on that? Like what should a person look for when they are applying for a specific position? What do they need to pay attention into the job description to make sure that whichever the job description is required, it's not like you're just gonna take a CV, a general CV, and go ahead and apply for it. You have to tailor it to the need of a position, of the job description, use some of the keyword. That way the search engine will be able to pre-select at least your CV and your application for the next level. Could you give us, just give all of us some details about that?
Yes, you know, in HR, you'll get like 1,000 CVs for one role. And first of all, what does the CV do? The CV gets you on the short list. The CV does not get you the job. The CV shows to HR and the manager that you have the minimum requirements and the qualifications to be shortlisted for the position, right? So I see many people mistaken that people are going to read all their CV and give them a job. No, that's not. Nobody's going to hire you off a CV. No way. Nobody does that. So why am I saying this? I have seen individuals write 20-page CVs. Who is going to read 20 pages of CV when you have 1,000 and you're applying for one? Please don't do that. Nobody's going to read 20 pages. I see individuals write all their research that they've done, all their every publication they mention the name in. It's like sometimes it's 5 pages. And so I've seen those pitfalls. What other pitfalls have I seen in CVs, right? Okay, I'll give you some tips, all right?
Sure.
Some of the things HR, and I'm telling you, there's so many HR that have different perspective. I'm only giving you mine, so just take it as my perspective on what I have seen work. One, the first page of your CV should give a clear, crisp summary of who you are, right? And I should be able to tell that you have 20 years of experience in this, you've done something related to the job description, right? And then I want to see your highlights, see where you've worked. So many people have a chronological CV and you have a technical CV. Now, if you're doing a technical CV, be mindful that I also need to know where you've worked. So you just can't give me summary. Many people use a chronological CV, which is 2000, I worked from here to here, the next I worked from here to here in your roles. And this is where keywords come in, to your point. It is just common sense that if you're applying for an HR position, for example, you should have HR experience. And if you have HR experience, you will write recruitment, benefits and entitlements. They're just some words that people do in HR that must be on your CV. So it is the same in your field. I saw I'm following the chat, and somebody asked, I worked with the Department of State in various political, military, and security capacities overseas. Do you suggest that I apply for a few positions or can cast a broad net? Now, this is an excellent question because they're in security, right? Yep. You know, they say in military and security. So you will apply for a security specialist position in the United Nations. You would look at the Department of Security and Management and you will apply for these positions because you have the experience. And then you will talk about your military background, whether it's close protection, that mirrors the So it's important that you don't apply for positions you don't have experience for, and you don't lie on it, because we will catch you on the interview. You finish interviews and like, I don't believe that. Let's reference. The reference will be like, nope, they didn't do that. So HR were extremely trained to drill into the details. So if you go in and you make up something, we will drill. And if we drill, it's not good. So just be honest on your CVs, and then write the keywords, and then position yourself to win. Over.
Thank you so much, Raya. You share so many great things here. I want to quickly go back to the CV again. I know sometimes when you have both the technical skill and then you want to do also the chronology CV, what will be the best way to do this? I've seen sometimes for international career, the recommendation would be to do a combination. You can do like the beginning of the CV, the chronology, but make sure that you insert some key achievements and then put some numbers, some percentage, so that it can make it easier for the recruiter to see exactly what impact did you bring to the business. Because that's the bottom line that we are talking about here. It's not about 20 pages, but even in 2 pages, you can convince and you can prove case what you've done with numbers, with percentage, with key achievements. And then the interview, if you are able to pass that first stage, at the interview now you can bring more to the table. Can you add a little bit to that, please?
Oh, you just hit it right on the nail. That is so true. Let's say, for example, I am writing about my experience in recruitment, and I would say over a period of 6 months, I recruited 400 staff and managed a budget of X million dollars. Something like that is more impactful as a key achievement. Many people think you need to write your entire job description on your CV. Please don't. Take out the key components of that job description that is very strategic and mirrors what you're applying to, and talk about that. So yes, you must have numbers. I always tell my colleagues, the first thing I look at in any CV is numbers. So you'll say, I managed a section, and then you put full stop, how many people, what's their roles, what levels, you know what I mean? So these details really help, because what we're looking at is whether you're strategic or you're entry level or you're administrative. So if you're applying for a high level position, you're going to have strategic interventions. If it's an entry level, then you may not have that much information. And so don't make it up at all. Never, never, never lie. So it depends, but always have numbers, always contextualize your CV in terms of achievements. What impact did your role have? And make sure that it is clearly stated in there. Again, on the flip side, whilst we don't want 20-page CVs, we're not like private sector where you can do 1 page, 2 page, no. Take some time, 4 or 5 pages if you have over 10 years career. It's fine, but make sure it's 4 or 5 pages that I want to read and has key things. It's also good to invest in professionals to help you just look at your CVs. Many people do it, and it's a skill set. And also, if you know people in HR, send it to them, say, what do you think? Please don't have typos and spelling mistakes in your CVs. It is such a turn-off to hiring managers. It shows that you are not organized. It shows that it's sloppy. So please don't do that. So really take time before you put your CV out. Make sure the font, the syntax, the grammar, the spelling mistakes don't exist. And yeah, so yeah, over.
Thank you again, Rhea. I believe we are having a couple of questions on the chat. We are having someone asking, what is the age limit to start a new career in UN? And another one who's asking, what is the age limit that would hire you? So it's like the minimum to the maximum age limit.
So one, we don't hire children under 18 because, you know, we don't hire children. We don't even take you for internships and stuff like that. So if you're under 18, don't even bother. This is my experience. And second, we don't discriminate. UNICEF and the UN has a very high anti-discrimination policy for age. So we don't have any maximum age we apply. I have seen the retirement age is 65. early retirement is now 58. I have seen people being hired at 64, 62, 63. I have seen people being brought back into work at 70 as consultants. So we don't really discriminate. In fact, we value more your contribution and we don't look at age. So yes, we don't have any cap. You know, some agencies says if you're over 35, you cannot qualify for, no, UNICEF does not. The UN, my experience, UN doesn't have that. Over.
Thank you again, Rania. You spoke about volunteer. I am going to address this question actually on behalf of my African community. Many don't believe on volunteering. I am going to give you just an anecdote that happened to me. Again, when I graduated with my master in international economic and public relations, I was trying now to go into the international development field. And it was hard. So the only way for me to get that foot into the door was through internship. And it wasn't paid. So now you're talking to a young graduate, and at that time I was working at this designer shoe store to pay for my bills. So I was, at one point, I was really torn because I needed to devote 32 hours, business hours to my internship, which will cut down on my work hours at the shoe store, which of course will cut down on my revenue. And I remember that when I started the internship, of course I had to cut down on my hours at the shoe store. And now I was struggling to pay for my rent. I asked a friend of mine from Africa to loan me some money. And the answer to the friend was like, well, I don't have money for you. Who told you to go work for free? Because that was the mentality. Oh, you're gonna devote 32 hours of your week for internship that doesn't pay. But that was the internship that lent me with the job experience that I needed to get into my first job in international development. Can you give a word of advice to young people, to young graduates, and even to students about the great part about internship and how you can make sure that it's beneficial to your future?
So now we have paid internships, by the way. So interns are not, they get either stipend and it's not bad. So we have, they've learned, many organizations, agencies have learned, like people like you who want to volunteer, just need something so that it's not, so they do give stipends and they do give, so it's not really a lot, but it's something. There's a difference between internships and United Nations volunteer. And United Nations volunteer, I'm not an expert in because they have a separate governance, but however, we have hired United Nations volunteers and they are paid, by the way. So you have young volunteers who can be national or international and they are paid. And then you have the professional volunteers also who are paid. So it's not, and it's good pay. So when you hear the word volunteer, don't think it's free. And when you hear the word internship, don't think it's free, because now there's some remuneration to all these. So I encourage to apply. So if you finish your bachelor's degree, some agencies require you to be enrolled in your master's, some don't, some accept you with your bachelor's degree. So look at the requirements closely. I don't want to speak one size fit all because it depends, but apply. And then when you apply, ask about stipends and negotiate. You know, in HR, you have to negotiate everything, even salaries, right? I remember when I was in the private sector, they wanted to hire me and pay me a certain amount of money. So I wanted the position, and then I called the decision maker and I was like, you know, for me to come on board, this is what you have to consider. And I built my business case. I did the research on what people like that are hiring. And I received what I wanted. So don't be afraid to negotiate and don't be afraid to be flexible. Over.
Thank you, Raya. We have one of our viewers asking, she's explaining that she has 16 years of HR experience in Africa. But since she moved in the US, she has been working in retails. And then she said that a recruiter told her that she couldn't be hired in any HR position in the US because she doesn't have any strong US HR experience. She applied to many HR or related positions, but has never been hired. What is your advice that you could give her?
Something about her CV is not communicating her experience. Because if she has 16 years of experience, then it's in her CV. But she also needs to know what is the requirement in the US for HR professionals. It's a very competitive field to get into. So it depends also on what work she did in Africa in HR, because HR, you can do different things, right? And then what the work in the US is requiring. Because if she was not, let's say, for example, I don't know, she was not in a leadership role in Africa, then now it doesn't matter whether it's in Africa, Asia, Europe, it doesn't matter. And then now you're applying for a leadership role, you need to have the certain minimum qualifications. What I would recommend to her, because sometimes people change careers because they have to find jobs. If she wants to transition back into HR, she needs to really transition back into HR. And she needs to start maybe not at the same level, but at a mid-level or an entry level to get the US experience. Also, you know, there's SHRM.org. They have the different certifications that you can take, different classes that you can take, because I know that practicing HR in the UN and practicing HR in America, I thought could be a bit different, because what that means, I need to know about FMLA in America. I need to know about different things. I maybe need to know about unions, you know, working with unions in America, which I have done in my private sector, but now I'm in the UN, I'm not working with unions. We don't have FMLA. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So she needs to really have, I would love her to be one of the people I talk to after, because I would love to see her CV, and I would love to guide her on, and also put her in touch with HR colleagues like you, who are working in America and know the requirements. Like even me in the UN, I have to do the SPHRI certification, so that just to keep abreast of America, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she may need to do the same, but I would love to chat with her more. And I always love to talk to HR colleagues, so over.
Thank you, RANYA. She actually responded that she got a master's degree in HR in US. I would like to add to what she's saying here. Even though you get the degree, they still want to see the experience related to the United States. Now, there is a way also that you can even translate your past experience from other countries to the United States experience that they are requiring. And if you get the master's degree, but you still didn't get like do an internship or even a volunteer work, all of that, you can use it as experience when you are building your resume. So just like Ranya said, we would love to see your resume offline, of course, and see if it has some of those keywords that we are looking for, especially you are living in the US. And I'm gonna give you my example. I've been working in HR, but I noticed that there was some concept that I wasn't able to grasp until I start taking the SHRM class. Of course, it's a lot of money, even with a master's degree. Nowadays, most organizations want to see those international certification on your CV. It really is kind of like a stamp that show that you have the expertise that they are looking for. Because in order for you to acquire those certifications, just like Ranya said, you have to be very familiar with FMLA, a union, all of the US law if you live in the United States. A good example, the same SHRM certification, if you are to take it in Nigeria, you don't have to take the US employment section of that because you don't live in the US. But now if you move to the US, you may have to find a way to get that knowledge. Otherwise, it may just come back and hurt you during your job search. But again, we will love to talk with you offline, and I will reach out to you, KB.
And tell her to hang in there. HR is not easy to get into, but it's more rewarding when you're there. So tell her we will support her. Okay?
Sure. She's saying thank you to you. And I'd like to quickly go back to something that you spoke about earlier on. In order for you to get into international career and be efficient, you have to be flexible. You have to be diplomatic. You have to be willing to be in uncertainty. I am going to really ask you about this, because this program, again, is for women, building each other's up and getting to the top level. And just like you said, this kind of career, you have to be prepared with international travel. And I know sometimes that could be a challenge for some of our sisters who are married. What advice can you give them? How could they juggle this?
I don't know what advice to give married women. I'm just joking. You made me laugh on that one. Okay, I was a single mom when I joined the UN. I had a 4-year-old son at that time, and I joined peacekeeping. I had to leave my son and only see him on holidays. It was one of the most painful things. And then I decided, when I got to UNICEF hired me into a family duty station. And amazing organization. And I was able to now be with my son, and I've been with my son ever since. So my son, for 1.5 years, I only saw him every 3 months. So I was in Timor-Leste, and every 3 months I'll go back, just spend 1 month with him, come. So it's tough, it's rewarding, but you're going to uproot your life. Now, if you have a family that allows you to do that, let's say you're married, not married, and you have the flexibility to travel, go for it. Because you also have some single colleagues who say, I'm not doing it because I want to settle down and get married. I don't want to be jumping mission to mission and place to place with the UN. So it has nothing to do with marital status. It has to do with what you value as an individual. I left Timor, I went to Nigeria. I was there, I was in a bomb blast. I was in the building, it was bombed. I nearly died. I could have quit and run back to America. I mean, America is cozy, I would have a job there, but I love the UN, I stayed. I stayed, I was HR, and I had to role model great behavior so people saw me as leading through them and not running away. And I didn't have an actual desire to leave because I love my agency, I love working for UNICEF. And then I left, and then I went to Bangladesh. Bangladesh was very nice, great stuff, but difficult because traffic, everything, but an amazing place to work. So I stayed there, and we had Rohingya. So you see the disruption, and I'm putting my son through elementary school in Nigeria, 1 year school in Bangladesh, then he went to boarding school in America, now he's here in Jordan. It's disruptive, and you have people who are in worse, they're not even in family duty stations, they're in emergency duty stations, they only see their families maybe 6 weeks. So you really have to soul search if this is what you want. If you don't want any disruption, you want to have that house where you're going to stay in and kids are going to grow up in the same place for 10, 15 years, and then the UN international career may be very difficult because they will move you and they will ask you to rotate. And when they ask you to move, you will have to move. So for me, I love it. I've lived in many countries. I travel all the time. My kids love it, but my son he's like, Mom, I'm tired. I'm tired of moving place to place. So yeah, I stop here.
When you were talking, it just reminded me of myself during my single time. I remember there was a time I wasn't even opening up, my suitcase when I come back from a trip, and I was single. I loved it at that time because I felt like, well, this is a great way for me because I love traveling also. So to me, just being exposed to different people, different way of doing things, and most of it, like you said, you really have to have a passion for this, because beyond the travel and all the benefits, this is really about helping people. This is about helping the needy. This is about helping children, women, people in developing countries. So if you don't have a passion, even in anything that you do in life, you got to have a passion for it.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
One of the things that UNICEF, my agency, does that I love is they try to help spousal employment. So let's say you're married and you work in a station, they will try to help your spouse get a job also. But it depends on whether they have the qualifications, job are open. So many times it works, many times it doesn't, but we have that commitment to health. So this is also good. But we also have a lot of families who travel with each other. So the wife's working, the husband will travel, the husband's working, the wife will travel. And it works, you know? And so it just depends on what you value, what you want, and if this is the right place for you. But I encourage everyone to come. It's a beautiful, beautiful organization to work with. The UN, what we do, and the value system, the impact, for me, is so life-changing that I don't see myself doing anything else, you know? So this, for me, is a career. Over.
Thank you, Rania. Thank you so much. I believe we are almost wrapping up. What I would like you to give is a last word, especially to our women. We have all witnessed what has happened in the United States last year. And the consequence, should I say, the good consequence of that, meaning that today many organizations are faced with a reality to have to adjust to the new reality, which is to diversify, to bring equity, to bring inclusion, to bring minority, and to give them more chance to succeed and to achieve higher ground. What will be your last word? I recall I had a brother yesterday. He emailed me, he messaged me and was like, well, it seems like this is all about you women. At first I laughed, but I said, well, it is not only about, it's not all about us women. You are welcome to participate also. We would love for you to attend. But I believe this is the time also for us women, for the minority to come to the forefront and to not be afraid to go for the high tickets. And of course, when you go for the high ticket, make sure that you have a requirement. If you don't have a requirement, you need to work on yourself. This is what I always talk about to us women. Invest in yourself. I believe you will agree with me, Rania. We ladies, we know how to spend a couple of $1,000 into hairdo and makeup. Well, why wouldn't you invest that into your training, into your personal, professional development? This is where, we are talking about even the charm. Even if your company doesn't pay for it. I was lucky enough, my company paid for the class and I paid for the exam, which was over like $500. But I was like, well, instead of spending that into 2 or 3 or 1 pair of shoes, this is for my own investment. So what will be your word to women following us, watching us? Over to you.
Thank you. First of all, we have a lot of great, smart, intelligent, kind, amazing women out there. So many. All they need is a chance. And this is where our men come in, who are in positions of authority and hiring, and also our women come in. I have been mentored and supported by all nationalities, races, men, all sexualities, everything. Because for me, I have one fundamental principle, which is kindness. And that's how I operate. I have an open door policy. I'm kind, I give, and I like to mentor people and give them information. We don't share enough information to help each other. Even in the workplace, You go, you see people, as soon as you're right, they think they're competing. No, we're not competing, we're together. I have even my colleagues are like, no, this is my territory. Oops, sorry. But we have to understand that when we stop doing that and we're more inclusive of each other, we all grow. I am not perfect. I have failed. I have failed in managing upwards because I don't manage it well. And many people fly in their career because they manage only upwards. I manage 360 because I'm an HR professional. I manage from my direct reports, everybody. I want to make sure they feel listened to and valued when they interact with me. For my women, especially my Black women, it is tough. We are not in the leadership cadre at all in many, many, many organizations. I see many tables where there's nobody that looks like me above. I have sat in tables where I have been the only one at the table for many years. And it is not because of me. There's so many dynamics and we have to address it. Now, I work for an organization that values diversity. The UN, is it perfect? No, 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 no. The UN is not immune to racism and discrimination. Oh, no, no, no. Don't forget, some of these structures were set up because of colonialism and war and dominance. So who fought World War II? It was the Germans, the Russians, the French, you know, the Americans. Now guess who's going to dominate the UN? The Germans, the Russians, the French, the Americans. That's true. So, but what we're doing is we have to create space. So now what many agencies after George Floyd died, you know, God bless his soul. He woke up the world to have honest conversations on racism. And you cannot take that away from George Floyd. It is George Floyd that caused that. And it is not an American thing because the whole world responded. So to my sisters, all women of all races, as I'm including our African and Black women, all you need is a chance. And if you're in positions of power, you can give somebody a job, you can stop, like even what you're doing. That's why I took time off to participate, because what you're doing is so important, sharing knowledge. If we can start there, and then we can make time, like you and I are making time, 15 people will get 30 minutes, and you and I are going to coach them together. We may not give you the job, we may not, you know, but we will make an impact to move you closer to your goal. So that's my message to all women and men listening. Please, it is about inclusion. It is about working together. But more importantly, for me, it is about humankind, showing love and helping people. That if we all have that, then all of us will get a chance. Have I been discriminated against? Oh yeah. Have I seen other people with less qualifications being promoted over me? Oh yeah, many times. But does that make me lose hope that I will get there? I will get there. And I will work hard, maybe twice as hard, but I will get there. So all my women listening, you will get there. And reach out to anybody you think that will help you. Over.
This is just wonderful, Rania. This is amazing what you're saying. And like I said earlier on, this is what it all boils down to, being able to give back. You and I, we had a chance to come into this country, to study here, to become citizen, to work here. And here you are today, you choose to go to other country to to share your experience. And I recall even some of my friends here, when I tell them, well, I believe, you know, the time will come when it's time for me to go to Africa. The first reaction was, what are you going to do there? Why are you leaving? I'm like, what are you talking about? I come from somewhere. I am grateful to the United States, but I believe now it's time to give back to my continent, to give back. We cannot all stay here. There has to come a time when we have to just sit back and say, okay, how can I pour back now to others? Just like I said, you know, even this webinar, whenever we are having things like that, please, women, let's share the information. It is not about the numbers of views. It's about just helping other women, pulling those who are behind. Just, you know, give a hand and then tell them, I am here for you. What can I do to help you? I may not have the money, but sometimes it's not all about money. It's about the information. It's about the connection. It's about, oh, there is this event, networking event. Let's go together. It's about, just like I see you doing it so beautifully, supporting other women's business. And you don't have to be in that country. You don't have to. So I really hope that many of the women that are following us, watching us, will share the video, and then we'll just learn from what you are doing, what I am doing. And again, if you feel like you are ready for that international career, be ready for it. It comes with challenge. It comes with sacrifice. And even your family, you know, might feel it, but it's for what are you trying to do? Just you, I, and myself, or open your arms for the whole world? So we hope that you are blessed with today's webinar. And again, Rania, I really want to thank you so much. I know you are extremely busy, but I'm very grateful for your time, grateful for your insight, and for your availability. For those who have followed us, I hope you are blessed. We will follow up with you and let you know, for the 15 people who share, how you can get in touch with Rania. Thank you so much all, and have a great evening, have a great day, have a great morning, whatever you are following us from. We love you dearly, and until next time. Thank you so much again, Rania.
Thank you.